So, if you haven't already heard of this term before, the phantom X is essentially a term used to represent a dismissive avoidant or any other attachment style's preoccupation with an ex from the past. Now, this ex can be somebody that the dismissive avoidant had a horrible breakup with, who they know in real life they would never want to consider getting back together with. And yet they have some kind of preoccupation where they think about them a lot, even fantasize about connecting with them a lot, and tend to spend a lot of time comparing their present partner or present person they're dating or seeing to from the past. And if a dismissive avoidant is single, it may be somebody that the dismissive avoidant just ruminates about and thinks about and sort of fixates on in their imagination, in the fantasy world. So, in this video, we're going to talk about why this happens, what it really represents, and what is necessary to do in order to overcome a preoccupation with any phantom X. So, first and foremost, the thing you really need to know is that we have a phantom X whenever whatever attachment style you are, but especially dismissive avoidance, because the phantom X represents all of the needs the dismissive avoidant currently isn't meeting in their own life or their partner isn't meeting in their current relationship or dating situation. And the phantom X represents all of the traits that that person feels disempowered about within the relationship to themselves. So they project them onto a person in a fantasy world as a means of trying to get closer to those traits. So that sounds crazy, but I'm going to tell you what that actually represents in more practical terms. So we as human beings are designed for wholeness and homeostasis. Our body seeks homeostasis, our mind seeks homeostasis and equilibrium. Now, we have so many traits that we have access to as human beings. But as we go through the process of conditioning, like as we essentially get socialized into our world, we disconnect from certain traits because we get conditioned to think aspects of the self are bad. One really obvious example of this for dismissive avoidance is they get conditioned to think that being too emotional, too sensitive, too expressive of their emotions is seen as weak or shameful or will only get them neglected. So they get conditioned to think that that part of themselves is defective or that there's something wrong with that, it's shameful. And so they will often repress traits around things like being emotionally expressive, being sensitive, being warm, expressing emotions in general, like feeling a lot of their feelings. These types of traits, sensitivity, expressiveness, warmth, any of these sorts of dynamics, dismissive avoidance kind of disconnect from in the relationship to themselves. And this would be one really clear example of if somebody is expressing your repressed traits because the mind is seeking that homeostasis. And because we actually have something called trait variety, which is like if, so many years ago, I'm trying to survive out in the world. And let's say I'm really strong, and let's say I find somebody really smart and we pair up together, we have a better chance of survival together. So we are wired for trait variety as well. So when a dismissive avoidant sees somebody expressing their repressed traits, they're going to infatuate with that. It's one of the three major factors that actually drives attraction. And when a dismissive avoidant doesn't have somebody exhibiting that warmth, that supportiveness, that expressiveness towards them, they tend to really feel a sense of emptiness or hollowness around that. Like it's this big kind of connection that they are trying to get to the relationship to themselves. Like we essentially attach to other people through this trait perspective because we're trying to find those missing pieces that are repressed and lost within the relationship to ourselves. And so it's a really big place that we will fixate on or focus on if you're disempowered in that area. Now, this is one of many examples. There can be many examples of people and situations for a dismissive avoidant where they repress certain traits and then they kind of attach to those traits. And when we all feel disempowered attaching in real time, like if that person's now your ex and you can't gain access to those traits, we attach in our mind, we attach in the fantasy world. And so, what you'll often see from a dismissive avoidant perspective is they will attach to the traits of somebody who might be their ex because they're disempowered to attach those traits in the relationship to themselves. They've cut off that part of themselves to a certain degree. And if they don't have a connection in their life currently that's like that, the mind will fantasize about the past and build that fantasy bond with the phantom X. And that phantom X being that person that isn't necessarily in their life, it's like this lingering phantom in their life instead. And so we'll see the dismissive avoidant yearn for that, long for that. What they're actually yearning and longing for are those missing and repressed pieces of themselves, rather than somebody that the relationship already didn't work out with and things weren't good and you broke up for a reason. But what this represents there, and the other part is the needs, right? And the needs follow the same suit. Like if we have these unmet needs in our lives and we can't get them met in other forms, and we're not able to meet them within the relationship to ourselves, we have a sense of learned helplessness, then we'll fantasize about people who did represent that. And the mind will even go so far as to project traits onto that person, like to assign traits to them that may not even represent who they actually are, but we'll imagine that they become a certain way or do certain things for us and really like stay in that fantasy world. Now, this is one of the most common things for dismissive avoidance specifically, and I'm going to tell you why this is in just a moment. But I do want to let you know that if you are struggling with this as a person, either as a dismissive avoidant, as a loved one of a dismissive avoidant, and or even just anybody you're having a hard time getting over, check out the How to Heal from a Breakup course. It's free for 7 days. And it takes you through exactly how to heal these voids. So when we're ruminating about people from a limerence perspective, from a phantom X perspective, this will help you understand not just how to do the healing work and actually move on, but also feel like you have a sense of peace and understanding and context so that you don't have to keep ruminating and fixating there. So you can check that out for free 7 days for 7 days using the link below. So when you look at this dynamic and you're starting to wonder, like, what's going on for the dismissive avoidant? Why are they comparing me to their ex? Or if you are the DA and you catch yourself doing that, like, why is this happening for you? Well, a lot of this represents unmet needs, or traits that you had in that past relationship, or you were at least projecting onto the past relationship and fantasizing about, are where you feel disempowered in your current relationship, or if you're single, in your life currently. And it actually represents a really important place to do that healing work, to work on nurturing those traits within yourself, or asking for those needs from your partner or people in your life, or learning to meet those needs for yourself in a healthy way. And when you do that, you will stop being in some kind of limerence or infatuation or fantasy with an ex, and you will stop finding yourself comparing a current partner to an ex if you see yourself doing that, because you are only comparing because your mind is trying to draw attention at a subconscious level to what feels like it's currently missing. In other words, there are really constructive things you can do about this. You can actually be like, okay, if I find myself comparing or fantasizing about the phantom X, what am I fantasizing very specifically about? Was it their warmth? Was it their supportiveness? Was it when they were present with me or checked in? And what does that say about me and my current relationship? What does that say about what's unmet in my current relationship that I have to ask for or share about or communicate? Or what I'm not able to meet and empower in the relationship to myself right now? And by doing that inner work and doing that communication work with a partner, it will help you stop staying emotionally attached to an ex if this is something that's showing up for you. So I have some exciting news, which is that we are doing $1,000 off of our lifetime membership sale to the Personal Development School, which means you get access to literally everything at PDS for your entire rest of your life. Essentially, that entails all of our different courses you have lifetime access to. I do 4 live webinars a week, every single week. You can access them ongoing, and you get access to all of our daily community events. So I'd love to see you on the other side, and you can access it by using the link in the description box below. So I hope this makes a whole lot of sense. It's definitely a really important topic. We'll definitely do a follow-up video with signs that somebody may be attached to the ex from the past. As a DA, we'll do a little series for FAs and APs as well. And thank you for watching. If you're enjoying this channel and enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because I put out daily content just for you for free every single day. So if you don't want to miss any, please subscribe so that I can see you also in tomorrow's video.